Is it wrong for a dad to genuinely dislike playing with his kids? Let's get into it. Before we go too far, my name is Casey and I have been a husband, therapist, and father for more than a decade, and I started this channel in order to try to present a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom for my kids, which meant that in 2020, I started saying what I believed was true. Part of what I know is true is that fatherhood is good for men, and it's very, very, very necessary for present fathers to be with their kids. If you can get with that, please like, share, and subscribe. Ahead of this, let's get into what caused some controversy on X about fatherhood and whether you enjoy playing with your kids. Okay, just a pretext. This gentleman on X named Justin Murphy sort of caused a stir. He must be some type of software guy from the San Francisco area, and he posed this question, which was probably the worst place to do it on X, but he said this: "Am I just a monster? It's been 4 years since I became a father, and I'm beginning to fear for my soul. The truth is, I don't like being around my kids for very long. Historically, this is not uncommon among fathers, but today it feels almost illegal. It's causing me a lot of confusion and anguish." So, just as a precursor to that, in Brad Wilcox's book, Get Married, he presents part of the reason why women are getting more fruitfulness out of marriage, and yes, maybe unfairly at times, it's because men have been more involved with the household necessities, including being active in fatherhood, so changing diapers, doing chores, that have to do with the children, as well as being more proactive with the kids. So it seems that, yes, it is almost illegal nowadays to say as a dad that you don't enjoy spending time with your kids, because that is part of the way that strivers, especially in Brad Wilcox's book, say that they get the most satisfaction out of marriage is when fathers play a proactive role with their kids. Now, he says the ideal time that he would like to spend with his kids playing, at least, is about 70 to 140 minutes per week. So that's about 10 to 20 minutes a day. And that, my dude, is weak. It's extremely weak. My oldest daughter is 9 years old, and she was doing a project or some type of family portrait drawing where she had to give an attribute of each one of our family members. And one of the things that she said about me, which made me exceedingly proud, how she identified me, was that I enjoyed spending time with them. That was the attribute that she gave to me first. And when her mother was still working out of the house on the weekends, I was with her and her brother before we had 2 more kids. And this time was probably the most consequential time in my life, where I just tried to my utmost to be a present and passionate father. And I would take them on walks to the park. I would then take them to ice cream. Spending like 8 to 10 hours with them solo was some of the best moments of my life. Now, in looking back on that, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case for every father, nor should it be. However, this time does present some oxytocin reward to the kids, which was my response to Brad, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So he says the ideal time is about 70 to 140 minutes per week, roughly 10 minutes each day. And, my feelings of love towards them are perfectly strong, but if I have to watch or entertain them for more than 10 minutes, my blood starts to boil. I just want to be working or accomplishing something. I try to be grateful, but it doesn't work. He said his kids are, I think, below age 4, so it is hard to parent toddlers, and men really come into their own as fathers in the later stages of parenting. Women are the training course and nurturers from age 1 to 9, and men are the rites of passage experts from age 9 to 18. And so we are trying to raise the children in order to be fruitful once they get into adulthood. And so my guy Justin probably hasn't really come into his own as a father yet, because kids at that age, especially for someone who's thoughtful, aren't able to take in all the information and all of the training and teaching and some of the more complex ideas that they'll be able to once they age into like adolescence, pre-adolescence, although that time can be exceedingly difficult and powerfully hard when hormones start to come through. So he better saddle up, because it might get a little harder from there.
What? Okay.
It's 9 a.m. in the morning, Saturday, January 3rd. It's sunny, warm day here in Austin. He's in Austin, not San Francisco. My 4-year-old son is begging me to play catch in the street. I was drinking coffee, still waking up. I really didn't feel like it, but he begged, so he went with it. He said, I have no problem being kind and loving. The only problem is I do not enjoy it. It's not that I'm trying to maximize my personal pleasure. It just seems wrong that I experience so little delight when my dad friends all claim to experience so much. So here's the thing, not all dads are created equal. However, I believe that he's playing catch with a son here. Justin should know that your son you are ingratiating yourself to your son from ages 1 through 4. So if you want to have a compelling case about how they engage with the world or their friends from ages 5 to 10, you better be persistent and consistent from ages 1 to 5, because your premise and the foundation that your counsel stands on is built in those early years. It's built upon, and you begin to put the roof and the columns on the house as they age into adolescence and beyond. So if you want to have a position with them, and this is especially important with daughters, if you want to be positioned well, you better have spent the time early in their life, because that's how you get the bonding that's necessary in order to have a position later on. Justin says that playing catch with your son is supposed to be iconic, peak experience, yet for every single minute on the inside, I just don't want to be there. I want to be drinking my coffee in peace. Then I feel guilty and absurdly ungrateful and ashamed when we're done. I know that when he is a teenager, I'll long to have those days back. I have all this perspective rationally, and I've been very patient and steadfast trying to digest it, but nothing fixes me emotionally. So my point to him, and I'll show that tweet later, my response to his tweet, is that I believe if you really analyze your feelings when you're finished, you are probably going to feel much better than it takes, what energy it takes for you to get to the playing catch with him in the first place. So if you analyze later, afterwards, in hindsight, you will probably find that you had much more release of positivity, feelings of well-being, because you accomplished something. It's almost like going to the gym. It may not be something that you desire to do when you're on the couch, when you're drinking your coffee, when you want to try to get up and do it. It's exceedingly difficult, but once you get there, the reward is afterwards, because the discomfort your brain corrects for, it gives you a blast of neurochemicals, dopamine and other things, and when you're doing something uncomfortable, you usually get rewarded. He asks at the end, am I a terrible person, or is this feeling within a certain range of historically normal, and it's the modern parenting norms that are off? Whether or not it's my fault, I don't even care. I just want to figure this out. Something is wrong, and I no longer have an excuse of being new to this. So I got a couple bad news items for Justin. First of all, if your son is 4 and that's your oldest kid, you are still new to this. There's a lot of learning that's happened since, and my kids are still young. I mean, my oldest is 9. From ages 4 to 9, there's a lot of learning that I've done from that point, and we've had 3 more children after that. So you're still new, bro, and you might still feel like you're not connected with your child. Do it anyway. That's the problem, is you're taking your feelings into account ahead of what your responsibilities are. Welcome to manhood. If you put your feelings first, you're going to do very little. You might accomplish a lot at work, but that's what you feel like doing. What you don't feel like doing might be the most important thing you could ever do, and here's why. No matter what kind of software creator dude that you are, no matter what content you put out there, anything like that, the thing that's going to outlast you and your money and your legacy generation after generation is how you treat your kids, because they will treat their kids like that and on down the line. And that is your real legacy, because that will way outlast your money. And even when kids don't want to repeat the mistakes or the foibles of their parents, they end up doing it anyway. And that cycles through generation after generation. Literally, the most important thing you can do is spend time with your kids, and spend it well. It doesn't mean it needs to be play all the time. It doesn't mean that it needs to be perfect all the time, or that you're not allowed to get angry. Sometimes that happens. Even yelling can be meaningful and helpful for kids. So all that can be within bounds. Make your mistakes, but do what you're responsible to do. And God, whether you believe in him or not, has commissioned you to be a good steward over the lives of those kids. And if you don't do it well, you will regret it. He mentions that in the tweet. And credit to him, he seems to have some insight. It's just compelling and difficult to imagine that he cannot enjoy this time with his kids. Maybe it's coming later, but here's what my reaction was in my response to his initial tweet. I told him to just suck it up, basically go play, make it quick if you have to. Those neurochemicals come quickly for the child. Then analyze how you feel in hindsight, because I bet you that you've received a neurochemical reward for doing something that was intentionally uncomfortable for you. See Anna Lembke in her book Dopamine Nation for what it's like to get dopamine based on intentional discomfort. Some other people slammed him, and I'll run through some of those tweets as he seems to have hit a nerve with a lot of people. But I think one of the most compelling things as a father and as a man is stop asking yourself whether you feel right about a certain situation. Stop asking yourself, stop believing and trusting your feelings first ahead of your responsibility, ahead of your training from your own father, ahead of what it is that even society, yes, says is good, true, and beautiful, because your feelings are not as comprehensive as what an ethic in society is. And that doesn't mean every societal ethic is good or even half of them are good, but most traditions are solutions to problems we forgot we had. And so the tradition of going and playing catch with your son is something you should participate in, whether you freaking enjoy it or not. Whether you enjoyed this or not, please like, share, and subscribe so that we can do this together. And I've been so grateful for all the support. I'll talk to you soon.